everyone. It's nice to see you. So many people in here, despite not the best timing. I would like to tell you, I've been a few times on the Confidence, and actually this is the first time I'm on the last presentation on the last day. So I really appreciate that you all come in here. So I don't want to make it too long, so I just go and start with that one. A few words about me. I work in cybersecurity in 2018, in cyber threat intelligence since 2022. Currently, I'm holding the position of Senior Threat Intelligence Analyst. In a spare time, I'm writing article to blog opensecurity.pl. I'm also doing few episodes for Emacsem przez Sendmail on YouTube channel. You have my LinkedIn and X handlers if you want to contact with me, but I'm using mostly the LinkedIn for such purposes. And my hobbies, I'm interested in speedway. It's such a kind of motorcycle racing, popular in some areas in Poland. I wrote 2 books about speedway. I'm writing regular articles to the Polish newspaper. I was also doing commentary in television for Polish speedway matches and commentary in Eurosport for British League matches in speedway. And what's most important for this one, views, opinions, and conclusions presented here are my own and not of any of my current or past employers. So that's note from me. So let's start with the presentation. Let's start with the cyber warfare. What actually is cyber warfare? As we know, the war shifted a little and became incorporated with cybersecurity because it's more efficient and it's the sign of times. So basically, cyber warfare is politically motivated hacking to conduct sabotage and/or espionage. Sabotage includes DDoS attacks, dissenting opinions, so dividing publics, etc., and also destruction of property, industrial systems. Espionage, we can count into that one, doxing targets and stealing industrial intellectual property. So basically, there is a long, I would say, over 15 years history of destructive cyber attacks. The most notable are written in there. So 2008 in Georgia, Russian joint campaign against Georgian targets. But I guess most of you know 2010 Stuxnet, which is very key and crucial element in here. It was very popular because US and Israeli developed malware leverage to delay the Iranian nuclear program ability to enrich uranium. So that was very intense, very loud in the media, etc., because it was very sophisticated craftsmanship, and that was very popular. And also there were a lot of other destructive cyber attacks. 2014 German steel mill, 2015 Black Energy, where Russian attacks 3 Ukrainian energy distributions companies. It happened year after the Russian invasion on Crimea, crash override, again Russian attacks on the electric transmission station in Kiev, and also NotPetya, one of the most damaging cyber attacks in history, targeted large Ukrainian companies, but not only Ukrainian companies. As we know, if some companies have some branches in Ukraine as well, they were affected as well. Of course, there are many more attacks later there as well, but here are just the key from the remaining years. So I'd like to set a little the stage because it's not maybe so obvious for some of you. So we have the Middle East in there. So we have Israel, which is a Jewish state. We have the Palestine, which is occupied by Israel. Palestine is divided by 2 parts. There is on the eastern part of Israel, there is West Bank, which derives its name from the west bank of River Jordan. And also on the southern western part, there is a Gaza Strip. Gaza is currently under ruling of Hamas, which is considered as a terrorist organization. On the north of Israel, there is Lebanon, which de facto is controlled by Hezbollah, which is also the terrorist organization, which is also trying to disrupt and attack Israel. On the southern part of the Arabian Peninsula, there is Yemen. There is ongoing civil war in Yemen, and the part of the Yemen, the western part of Yemen is controlled by Houthis, which is also a terrorist organization. And also a key threat actor in that area is Iran. It's a very strong threat actor. Their capabilities of cyber attacks are very well developed. And Iran is working not only by itself, but also is using proxies. So Iran is supporting Hamas, supporting Hezbollah, and supporting Houthis. So basically, key dates of the events that were happening last month. So basically the most important, October 7, 2023, when the Hamas group went into the southern part of the Israel, killed many Israelis, took as hostages many of them. So that was the main event that started this conflict at that time. 6 days later, Israeli troops moved into the Gaza, and ongoing on effects of that one, like in January, UK and US launched airstrike across Yemen. April, Israel strikes the Iranian embassy in Syria. That was very interesting event in terms of the intelligence of Israeli, because Israeli killed in that embassy some leaders of Hezbollah. In May 2024, Israeli airstrike against Rafah. Rafah is the border city between Gaza and Israeli. August 2024, Israeli airstrike against Gaza. September 2024, very crucial event, also showing how sophisticated and how well prepared is the intelligence of Israel, because there were explosion of pagers used by most notable people, terrorists of Hezbollah. So there was involved the disruption of supply chains. Very, very sophisticated attack. We can create a new lecture about that one. October 2004, Hamas confirms death of its leader Yahya Sinwar. I guess a few days ago, his brother Mohammed Sinwar was also killed. November 24, ceasefire between Israel and Hezbollah. January 2025, ceasefire between Israel and Hamas. Of course, that's not the end of the conflict, because the ceasefire has been broken. There are a lot ongoing fights. I didn't include more dates in this one because as new events are very important to the war itself, they are not shaping cyber landscape in a new way. So basically, most important parts happening in the beginnings of this war. So basically, let's go to the showing the play, how it was looking like. So as I said, October 7, 2023, when Hamas attacked Israel, we have seen days within those attacks. We have seen the headlines from articles from October 9, 10 and 11, already started hackers attacks. Hackers joined in on Israel-Hamas war with disruptive cyber attacks against Israel. Gaza-linked cyber threat actors target Israeli energy and defense sectors. Cyberwarfare surges as over 35 hacktivist groups join Israel-Palestine conflict. They're happening from the side of the Hamas against Israel, but also something from the other side, like Israel-linked hacking group reemerges amid Gaza fighting. So as we can see, this cyber warfare is emerging from both sides. So both sides are involved in this conflict. 6 days later, as I said, Israeli troops in response moved into Gaza, and there again more attacks. We have the headlines from October, but also from November, etc., like malicious red alert, rocket alerts, application targeting Israeli phone calls, attack against UAE, it's United Arab Emirates. It's also important because these are attacks targeting not Israel itself, but targeting ally of Israel. So this is important in cyber warfare as well. I'll be speaking about this in more details in the following section, because as we can tell, in cyber warfare there are not only attacks against our enemy, but also against the allies of the enemy, which is understandable. But also there are attacks against the states that didn't took any side. So this is for encouraging joining fights or disrupting the joining of the fights. And also another headlines like hackers target Israeli rocket alert apps, so the same as before. Israel, and also from the other side, not only targeting Israel, but from the other side, Israel targeting Tehran electrical grid, for example. Another one, as January, UK and US launches airstrike across Yemen. Again, we have seen headlines from January 2024, like Israel reports hint in cyber attacks. Iran is accelerating cyber ops against Israel from chaotic start. And very good report from Microsoft Threat Intelligence in general about Iran cyber attacks supporting of Hamas. Another headlines in April 2004, when Israel strikes the Iranian embassy in Syria, as I was talking about. Again, we have seen the headlines following days, like pro-Palestinian hackers claim massive data breach. Cyber attacks by Iran and Hezbollah have tripled during the war, says Israel Cybershar. And as Checkpoint noted, Iran has doubled its cyber attacks on Israel in the past week. So as we can see, this is very intense in both sides, not only military, but also on the cyber perspective. In August, Israeli airstrike against Gaza. We can see cyber attacks disrupting Iranian backing amid tensions with Israel, and also Iran preparing for making revenge by cyber attacks to paralyze Israel. So again, some correlations with the war itself. And October, Hezbollah attacks on Israeli base, and the attacks were also correlated with Viper against Israeli organizations as well, you can see. And the ceasefire between Israel and Hezbollah didn't stop any attacks against Israel at all. So we can see the Christmas cyber attack on Israel tech firm sparked some alarms. So basically, also ceasefire between Israel and Hamas, same story as well, didn't stop the pro-Palestinian hacker groups to targeting, this time, emergency sirens in kindergartens across Israel. So let's tell something about the actors playing in that place. So there are, of course, pro-Palestine groups like Anonymous Sudan, Anon Ghost, Cyber Avengers, GhostSec, Agrius, Anonymous for Justice, Handala Hack, Propel, and many, many more. But of course, it's not easy to attribute some groups. There are also many talks, interesting talks on the cyber conference about attribution, how it is not easy and why, because some groups have different, have similar TTPs, so we cannot say they are the same group or different groups. Some groups are emerged on basis of the other group, etc., etc. So this attribution is not always easy, but we can distinct a few groups active in that war as well. So Anonymous Sudan is also known as Anon Sudan or Storm 1939. It is quite interesting group because initially when this group emerged, it was perceived as the group which was created actually by Russia. But a few months in the conflict, there are two Sudanese brothers have been catched by the authorities, and so we can see this. It generally may emerge from the Sudan itself. This group has been responsible for over 35,000 DDoS attacks globally since early 2023, targeting critical infrastructure, government agencies, healthcare systems, and private organizations. And as I said, I have some links to the other hacktivist groups like Killnet, which is originating from Russia. Basically, we think that they are connected to this conflict between Israel and Hamas because of the perceived injustice against Muslims. So Anonymous Sudan, as we can see, one of its attacks was they were responsible for attack on Israeli ports, where they were targeting key elements of Israeli ports, digital infrastructure, network devices, email servers, VPN, client-side endpoints, etc. And they were also targeting Israeli global navigation satellite systems. So we can see how important role take this cyber warfare in here, because disabling or disrupting the navigation satellite system is very important in the field of war, because it's, there can be disruptive in terms of army movement. So that's why these attacks, cyber warfare, it can be important part of war itself. The second group, Anon Ghost, activist group that emerged since 2013. Primary targets include Israeli government entities, critical infrastructure, announcing the operations via public channels such as Telegram. This is a very important strategy and tactics, because the groups are not only attacking, but they only want to create the atmosphere of fear. So they are announcing first the attacks on public channels such as Telegram as written, because they want to build the fear. They want to destroy a little of morale of the enemy. They employ API exploitation techniques and also social engineering. So as we can see, announcing their targets on these public channels is also some strategy of social engineering, I believe. And Anon Ghost was responsible for compromising the Red Alert app. That was the app that was informing the Israeli citizens of incoming missile threats, and this app was throwing messages like "Death to Israel" to users. So this was also very important attack, because it is basically this app which should secure safety of the Israeli, but it's showing such messages was also very much lowering the morale itself. Cyber Avengers, that's interesting group, because it's the Iranian hacktivist linked to the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. In the later section of this talk, I will tell more about how Iran shapes the cyber perspective itself, and I will tell what is the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. The Cyber Avengers targeting critical infrastructure, not only in Israel, but also in the US. This is something what I told already that they are targeting not only the enemies itself, but also the allies. In this case, the US. Involve tactics such as data exfiltration, system disruptions, and defacement of websites. And one of the attacks, supposedly attack, was that the group claimed have attacked national water companies. So I would like to put your attention to the phrase claimed, because those groups not always hack the infrastructure, etc. Sometimes they only claim hacking. It's also the part of the play, the part of the social engineering tactics, because it's also building atmosphere of fear. Later that month, a group claimed have compromised regional electricity distribution center. And also that's something that is in dispute, because basically they use some parts of the infrastructure to create, in general, fear about hacking. Basically what we can see on that screen, that the group hacked into camera in this electrical facility. So, it's building the atmosphere that, oh my God, they hacked electricity infrastructure. But basically, we have no confirmation that they hacked electricity infrastructure itself. Maybe it was just hacked the webcam, etc. So the hackers used that one to build, as I said, atmosphere of fear, because we're not really sure what access they got, and they claim, of course, that they have the biggest access possible. The another group is GhostSec. This is a Hacktivist group ties to Gaza, introduced a ransomware as a service program called GhostLocker, and is operating under the umbrella of coalition known the Five Families. Those coalition includes SiegeSec, ThreatSec, GhostSec, Stormus, conducting double extortion against various countries, as I say, allies, Israel itself, the allies, but also countries that are not taking any sides to encourage them to take the side they want. And operating under a coalition of five families, it is because, as I said, the attribution sometimes is difficult, sometimes those groups are overlapping, etc. So it's not sometimes possible if there are different groups or really the same. And GhostSec shared a screenshot of Aegis controller interface and claimed to have targeted controllers in neutral devices in Israel. And also, as I said, we should pay attention to the wording. They claimed to have targeted Aegis controllers. They provided some screenshot, but really we don't know how much access did they get. So also the last one I'm going to present here is Agrius, also known as Agonist Serpents, Pink Sandstorm, Black Shadow. There are many names because many vendors are presenting their own naming convention, which is a little misleading in threat intelligence, but it's understandable, because when group emerges, some vendors don't know if this is the same group or not, so they're giving different names, and later it happens that the group shares the same TTPs and is indeed the same group. So this group is active since 2020, attributed to Iran's Ministry of Intelligence of Security. I'll be talking later about that one. Engages in espionage, ransomware, destructive attacks against targets in the Middle East. Agrius was conducted cyber attack against Ziv Medical Center. So the goal was not only to obstruct hospitals' operations, but also to damage Israel's general resilience mid-war. The hack was partially successful. So that was those were pro-Hamas group. So let's go to say a few words about how Iranian nation state works, how the cyber activities are performed. So basically, since the Israel-Hamas war broke out on October 7, Iran immediately surged support to Hamas with well-honed techniques, combining targeted hacks, influence operations on social media, etc., etc. So it emerged quite quickly, as we can see. In the early days of the war, they were leaking all materials and using pre-existing access to networks or were false. So basically, that's quite interesting, but it's quite logical. So the creating of the sophisticated attacks takes weeks, sometimes months. So if there were attacks days, 2-3 days after cyber attacks, 2-3 days after conflict emerged itself, it must be about leaking some old material. It must be about using pre-existing access. We all know that sometimes some groups claim that there was a hack, but actually there was just revealing the old leakings. There was a perfect presentation yesterday about MPing and the threat actors claiming leaking the data of MPing. In general, it was leakage of old material. So it happens in general because as we see, it was early on, so there was not possible to conduct very sophisticated attacks, so mostly it was leaking just old material. And Iran's activity quickly grew from 9 Microsoft track groups in the first week war of 2 to 14 into 2 weeks into war. And also the cyber-enabled influence operations went from 1 every other month in 2021 to 11 in October 2023 alone. So it's emerged a lot. Iranian actors expanded geographic scope to include attacks on Albania, Bahrain, and the USA. So as I said, again, not only Israel is targeting, but also other countries. So how does Iran operate? This is taken from very good Microsoft report. I was mentioning it before, I guess, so we can divide this into 3 phases. The first phase, reactive misleading. So as it was on one of the previous slides, leveraging pre-existing axes, using old material for leaks, minimal use of sock puppets, no use of bulk SMS or email because it takes time to set up infrastructure for that one. Phase second is all hands on the deck, so we can have built infrastructure. The number of groups is increasing. There are shift to destructive and coordinated attacks because the enemy has more time to prepare, more time to build infrastructure, and more time to get access, etc., etc. So they are using sock puppets, bulk SMS and email, extended success from impersonation to additional Israeli activists and Palestinian militant group. And the third phase, it's expanding geographic scope. So again, as I said before, it's going to targeting not only Israel, but also their allies. It's also incorporating more messaging into cyber attacks because we have already set infrastructure, etc. And also focusing on undermining Israeli willingness to continue war because it's also the part of the cyber war, so we can undermine the willingness of and abilities of Israel to continue the war, and showing that to the allies and other countries that Iran is unable to perform the war activities. So that's the plan in the phase 3. So basically, as we can see, there is how Iran's work. There are 3 types of groups related to Iran. In the middle, we have unattributed government-sponsored groups like Storm 1364, etc. On the left, we have the Ministry of Intelligence and Security. So groups are derived from the Ministry of Intelligence and Security, and in there we can see, for example, Pink Sandstorm, which I was talking about earlier. And on the right, we have Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. This is the part of the army. And the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps is taking care about securing via army the stability of Islamic State itself. So there are a few groups which is derived basically from IRGC, which includes, for example, Cyber Avengers, as I said on one of the previous slides. So also another step, because I said there were attacks not only from Iran, but also from Israel. So there are also pro-Israel groups like Predatory Sparrow, We Red Devils, Indian Cyber Force, Team UCC, Operation Silent One, and many more. So Predatory Sparrow, also known as Gąsieczki Darande or ANC 4368. They were linked to the string of high-profile attacks designed to embarrass the Iranian government. As I said, that works both sides. So these attacks from Predatory Sparrow were target was to embarrass the Iranian government. October 2021 attack on payment systems linked to national network of fuel pumps, and July 22 attacks disrupting operations of one of Iran's primary steel production facilities. So we can see with one of the effects of Predatory Sparrow was that in December 23 they carried out attack which disrupted services at petrol stations across Iran. So around 70% of Iran's petrol stations were disabled. We have seen in the media the photos of the long queues of cars to the Iran's petrol stations because they were not able to get some fuel. So that was very, very well-crafted attack indeed. Were Weird Devils emerging following the Hamas terrorist attack on Israel in October 2023, targeting infrastructure in Iran, but also the other Middle Eastern countries, and also announces its intentions via Telegram before launching attacks. This is the strategy I was talking also before. So it's the part of the psychological warfare. Of course, they are incorporating also technical operations. Weird Devils, October 2023, claimed that hacked into main project management system for oil infrastructure in Iran. Also, I would like to emphasize the phrasing claimed the attack. They just published information, so it's not really confirmed, but that this is how it works. They also claimed in August 24 responsibility for reported Wi-Fi outages in Iran. Posted warning few minutes before about that one. Indian cyber force, you may wonder why Indian, because basically Indians are in the conflict with Pakistan around the Kashmir region. So basically it's politically motivated hacktivist group targeting predominantly Pakistan, but also they are involved in that conflict because of their anti-Muslim, anti-Arabic sentiment. So their tactics include DDoS attacks, website defacement, leaking stolen documents, etc., etc. So Indian cyber forces announced its support towards Israel, like harboring anti-Muslim sentiments, as I said before. And October 2003, for example, the group claimed attack towards Palestine National Bank and its telecommunication services. As we can see, site cannot be reached at that time. So what was the impact of that one? Of course, the impact was quite big, quite huge, as I said before. As we can see, the number of total cyber attacks against Israel after October 7 was 2 times higher than in previous year, with total of over 3,000 incidents recording, according to National Cyber Directorate's annual report for 2023. About 800 of those assaults were categorized as having significant potential for damage. Also, as checkpoint, it was this headline showed before that Iran has doubled cyber attacks on Israel in the past week. This is from the April 2024. And as we can see, the Iranian Ministry of Intelligence and the Revolutionary Guard carried out more than 2,000 attacks each in the past week. So the week before, October 10 and 30%. Israel is targeted 30% more than anywhere else in the world. So this is the cyber warfare on the large scale. Another headline, Israel reports 3 billion cyber attacks on military systems since October 7. According to Israeli media, so the number of attempts, cyber attacks on IDF, which is Israel Defense Forces computer systems, have reached 3 billion since the war started, as in the headline. Another one reported by Shin Bet is that since Hamas attack, cyber attacks on Israel increased 5 times. So we can see the numbers are growing and growing and growing. And also some statistics, as we can see, that those are statistics. They are Cloudflare. It's from October 7 itself, DDoS attacks against Israeli websites that provide civilians information and alerts on rocket attacks. So like, for example, the rocket alert application itself, as you can see, 3:30, there was the Hamas attack itself. As we can see, hours later, like not less than 1 hour later, a significant spike of DDoS attacks against Israeli websites. So we can see it was clearly coordinated. Also, application layer DDoS attacks started getting over Israel over time. So as we can see, October 7, Hamas attacks has been marked there. So we can see DDoS spikes on October 8 and 11 in general. As we can see that one, also DDoS attacks against Israeli website. Also, we can see before October 7, almost none, and after October 7, a few days after October 7, there are a lot of more those DDoS attacks. However, I would like you to pay attention. There are only 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5%. So it was not so big spike, but we can see that indeed it has some effect. And also on the other side, application layer DDoS attacks targeting Palestine over time. October 7 also was marked on, and also DDoS attacks, spikes on the DDoS attacks have been seen the following days itself. So what are conclusions? Hacktivist group will continue to fight in such proxy wars because they are important in terms of war, because as I said, they can lower the morale of enemy. They can undermine their willingness to provide fight. They can be part of the warfare of the war itself because of, for example, interrupting the global positioning system. They can cause disruptions in the energy facilities. That happens also, of course, all those cases happens also in the conflict between Russia and Ukraine. So all of this is true. However, we have to be cautious about these groups' victory narratives shared on social media, as they may not reflect the actual impact of the attack, as I said, because it's some part of the social engineering, sometimes of some part of the lowering morale. So sometimes they claim they did more than actually do in real world. So how to respond? Basically, the Cooperative Cyber Defense Center of Excellence, which is CCDCOE, looks like not only IT, looks complicated acronyms, but this is DCOE, which is the part of the NATO, has built a textbook called the Tallinn Manual. And this textbook covers the rare but serious cyber threats. And has been this textbook has become influential resource for legal advisors and policy experts. So basically, this is textbook which is giving some guidelines to the countries itself how to deal with the cyber warfare itself. There are key strategies in it because there are just the bullet points because the textbook, this manual itself has over 160 or 260 pages. I don't remember exactly how it is, and some bullet points are clear, are some obvious for us, like creating a security ecosystem, creating cybersecurity awareness in general, encouraging open standards, creating an assurance framework, so the guidelines how to react on the such events itself. So this textbook is updated regularly. There were, I believe, 3 versions. The first one has been written in 2013, but there were updates in 2018, etc. So this basically this manual is something that in general countries should be followed to be responsive for such kind of attacks. So basically that's all. So I hope it was not too fast. Thank you very much.